We're going to talk about the respiratory system. First of all, there are three related functions going on. Ventilation, this is when the air is moved in and out of the lungs. Gas exchange is when you have oxygen and carbon dioxide moving in and out of the tissues, and this happens in the alveoli. Oxygen utilization, and this is respiration at the cellular level. Now when we look at the lungs, okay, you have 2 lobes on the left and 3 lobes on the right. The upper respiratory tract, and these are organs located outside the chest cavity. You have the nose, the nasal cavities, the pharynx, the larynx, and the upper trachea. The pharynx is the throat. The larynx is the speech or voice box, and so speech is produced here. The trachea is the windpipe. And then it goes into the 2 bronchi and then the bronchioles. Okay. And then here's our diaphragm. When the diaphragm contracts, we inhale or take oxygen into the lungs. When the diaphragm relaxes, CO2 is pumped out of lungs. Now let's talk about the pharynx. Okay, so there's your nasal cavity. The nasopharynx is the posterior section of the nasal cavity. The oropharynx starts from the back of the mouth cavity and continues down the throat to the epiglottis. The laryngopharynx begins at the epiglottis and leads to the esophagus. It regulates air passing into the lungs and food to the esophagus. Now these are the bronchi or bronchioles. Okay, so you have a conducting zone and the respiratory zone. We have the trachea, and then these are the bronchi. There are 2 of them, the bronchial tree, and then these terminal bronchioles. So we have 1 trachea, 2 bronchi, 60,000 terminal bronchioles. Okay, and then at the end of these terminal bronchioles, you have respiratory bronchioles, and there's about 500,000 of those. And then at the end of those, you have these alveoli or alveolar sacs. Okay, the conducting zone warms, humidifies, and cleans the air. And then we have our alveoli. There are only 2 cells that separate lung air and blood in the alveoli, the alveolar cells and the capillary endothelial cells. So you can see this is how the gas exchange happens in these capillaries that surround the alveoli.